Hey guys, welcome back to the Bruce Williams channel. Let me show you what I'm wearing today. I have the SRP H19 Beatmaker limited edition from Seiko. This is my most affordable watch retail price wise in my collection, but I really enjoy wearing it. I love the variation of the Pogue color scheme, the primary colors of yellow or pale gold, blue, and red. This one is a fun piece and I'm really enjoying it. But in today's video, this is a casual video and I'm going to drop in pictures and clips of various Santos models and various Zenith Defy Classic models and kind of talk about what I would do if I were in Chris's shoes, who was a viewer of the channel, who is looking to add a watch to his collection that will, in a sense, complete the quartet alongside Tudor and alongside Oris and alongside Grand Seiko. He is having a difficult time deciding between the Santos and the Defy from Zenith. And that's something that I can relate to, and I think a lot of you can relate to. You're always looking at the next purchase and how to improve your collection and how to attain contentment in this hobby. And ultimately, I think we lie to ourselves a little bit like, hey, you know what? If I could just buy this one watch, I will be happy. I will want for nothing. My collection will be so perfect. It will have the right blend of history and complication. It will have variety. It will be so awesome. Like, I will get to nirvana, but I just have to make the right decision first. It's a lie that we tell ourselves. And sometimes I don't know that we're aware that we lie to ourselves. There will always be another watch. The collection will never be perfect. We will always have another decision to make. But that being said, man, I love it. I will indulge in this craziness that is watch enthusiast looking at the next purchase. So let me share my opinions, my experiences, what I think Chris should do to add variety and to complete the quartet. Which one should he go for? Should he go with Cartier? Should he go with Zenith? And which one would be better in a collection with Grand Seiko and with Tudor and with Oris? Now, I will say, looking at the current trio here, Chris, I like them. They're sport watches. I like sport watches. I like Tudor. I like having this simple, non-diver, great everyday watch. The snowflake hands are freaking awesome. I know not everybody agrees, but I love the snowflake hands. This is just a great piece. I like the pointer date from Oris. It's not my favorite Oris personally. I like some of the other models, but this one has some great history. It's really interesting. I like the blue dial, how it's different from your black dial, Black Bay. And then lastly, you have the lovely Grand Seiko that is arguably the crown jewel of your collection currently, with the Note 8, with that kind of off-white or cream dial and the Sriracha polishing, the movement here. This one is very nice. And so how could I strengthen this? How could I add variety? I think it's easy to try to be logical and to say, oh, well, you should do this or you should do that. There is a progression. There is a simple answer to any question. But I found, again, in my experience, that's not necessarily the case. Emotion can trump logic in many instances. The most helpful thing for you to do, Chris, is to go visit an authorized dealer, and one preferably that has both Cartier and Zenith, and to see both in person. And I don't know, in my experience, I found sometimes I see a watch in person that online I really liked, but in person I go, you know what, I like it, but it doesn't blow me away. It's not what I expected. It's different, and maybe it's a little disappointing, as silly as that may sound. Again, we are kind of silly. We are a rare breed. We do agonize over silly little decisions that to a normal person, not a big deal. To a watch enthusiast, it can be almost offensive, if there's not a quick adjust system or this or that or the other. But anyways, I digress. Let's continue here. Sometimes there is a watch where, yeah, you liked it in pictures on YouTube, but when you see it in person, it's just at another level. It blows you away. It's special. It speaks to you, and you have to go with it. Again, it's the emotional side that's trumping the logical side. So, Chris, if you can, go see them in person. That is the most helpful thing that you can do. That will help you with your decision. But I know sometimes that's not possible. You might not live by an authorized dealer. You might not have one that carries both Cartier and Zenith. And I don't know, sometimes you can't always take the easy route and you have to agonize and do your homework digitally, right? Or over, YouTube. And so hopefully this video is helpful for you and you get a kick out of it. Again, guys, in the comment section, place your suggestions. What would you do if you were in Chris's position? And place your reasoning too in the comments. I would get a kick out of reading that. And hopefully, Chris, you find it helpful as well. So let me talk a little bit about each brand in my experience. I think let's start with the Zenith. The Zenith is so much fun. It's very different from the Cartier. This one, the Defy line, goes back decades, and it really is about defying boundaries, breaking rules, forging ahead, and doing something non-traditional. And I think at least with this one, especially the skeletonized variation, that is the epitome of the Defy name. It is so bold and modern and contemporary and different. And it does give you the feeling that you're defying odds, you're defying boundaries. And this is very much, again, a contemporary piece with anti-magnetic properties, with that silicon escapement and the bidirectional quickset date, the grade 5 titanium that has the predominant brush finish and the accents of high polish that really complete the look. And this thing is dazzling in person. In natural light, as you do a wrist roll, I tell you what, I get distracted. I gauge the time. I look at my wrist to gauge the time, and I'm lost in the beauty, and I just start looking at the light play. It's so exciting. You know, sometimes you want to watch that grabs attention, that you notice, that, again, gives you that fire. I get complimented when I wear my Defy. People notice this watch. Whereas when I'm wearing Cartier, when I'm wearing Rolex, when I'm wearing, Omega or Seiko or Norcane, nobody notices those to the degree that they notice the Zenith, and that could be a good thing. Or you might not want people to know that you spent silly amounts of money on your watch. You don't want to make yourself a target. There are two schools of thought. So sometimes you want to fly under the radar, and sometimes you just want that oh my goodness, I'm not eye crapping. Definitely not that. Eye grabbing. Sorry guys. You want that eye-grabbing piece that is so visually dynamic and interesting and lovely. That's Zenith. So Zenith, absolutely lovely. This would really bring some variety to your rotation, and I think it would be very strong. Now let's talk about the merits of the Santos from Cartier. Very different from the Zenith in terms of material, in terms of history, in terms of style and design. This one is not defying boundaries or pushing the edge or tradition. This is all about celebrating history and doing it with class and sophistication and refinement. This one has unbeatable history going back to the early 20th century, right? The original watch that this is based off of was designed in 1904 by Louis Cartier and given to Alberto Santos Dumont, who wore this as he piloted dirigibles and flying machines over the streets of Paris in the early 1900s. I mean, so cool. The first sports piece, the first men's wristwatch, the first aviation piece. It just doesn't get any cooler than that, or any long running as far as a wristwatch than this Santos does. I mean, this was the first brand to celebrate the exposed screws, the industrial look, but do it married to elegance and refinement with the Romans, with the sapphire, with the blued hands. I mean, again, very traditional and very classic, timeless. This has withstood the test of time, whereas the Zenith, especially with the open work dial, might not age so gracefully. It looks a little bit space age, if I'm honest, but that could be a good thing depending on your preferences. Again, this hobby is so subjective. There is not a right answer that will be universal. You might be very strongly in the Cartier camp. You might be equally strongly, feeling in the Zenith camp, and that's fine. I will say the Cartier is more comfortable. I love this curved case back. I love the curved dial. I love the curved crystal. There's a flow to this that just melds to your wrist and feels effortless. It really is comfortable, and it's surprisingly light considering how much stainless steel is present here. I think the drawback to the Cartier is the fact that the movement it's not quite as cutting edge as the Defy is. It doesn't have the anti-magnetic properties. It doesn't have the power reserve, but it is well regarded. It is robust, and it is reliable and regulated in multiple positions. So again, at the end of the day, are you going to make a bad decision? No, I don't think you will. We're agonizing over insignificant details that doesn't matter to a normal person, but to a crazy watch enthusiast, could be a deal breaker. So this is what I'm going to suggest for you, Chris. Again, if you can't go see one in person, I'm going to give you two options here. And again, look at the comment section, glean something from the suggestions and experiences of fellow watch enthusiasts if you can. What I will suggest is if you want a 4-watch collection, I would suggest going with the Zenith. And why do I say that? I don't want overlap. I want variety in the rotation. And so if you were to buy a Zenith in blue, I think there's a little bit of overlap with your blue Oris. And so I would say maybe go with the skeletonized version. That is very different from your Tudor and your Grand Seiko and your Oris. And it is so enjoyable. It is so cool. If you like that visual dynamic factor, that eye-grabbing factor, the lightweight nature of the titanium, the anti-magnetic resistance here in the Elite 670 movement, I think you would really enjoy the Zenith. I think that would be a great quartet. I really do. But here's the thing. Maybe you want to consolidate a little bit and go with a trio. And in that situation, I wouldn't go with the Zenith. I would go with the Cartier. I couldn't suggest the wide dial Cartier because it's too similar to your light dial Grand Seiko. And you can't go with a skeletonized Santos unless you want to spend 25 grand. I don't know that that's really a realistic suggestion. So I would say go with the blue dial. Oh my goodness, the blue dial is so nice in person. Yes, the Romans are applied. You do lose the hidden signature in the 7 Roman, but it has some lume. It's a little bit different. And I think it will be a future collectible that will go up in value. That when this is discontinued, this is going to be a 10+ grand watch. And that can be an appealing thing to consider, again, as a watch enthusiast. And in that situation, I would axe the Oris. I would take your blue dial out of the equation, and I would have a Cartier, I would have a Tudor, and I would have a Grand Seiko. I would have a black dial, a blue dial, and a light dial. I think that could be very strong as a trio. And financially, you could offset the cost of the Santos a little bit with the sale of the Oris. That's something to consider. I think each one could be strong. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you end up doing. And guys, thanks for watching today. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.